human.
And welcome to Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. That is your Eagan home for the Minnesota Vikings. This is 9 to noon. Nordo produces on site. I'm Paul Allen. Devin Ward is guiding the Great Ship Love Covenant from FM 100.3 KFAN. Hey, sports leader, also your home for Minnesota Vikings football. This is Swan Song Radio from Eagan today for 9 to noon, at least for now. This will be our final Tuesday at the Minnesota Vikings facility with X's and O's with Kevin O'Connell coming up at 11 o'clock. And Kevin will be followed, as the head coaching covenant goes, by John Hines, coach of the Minnesota Wild. He'll be calling us from California after a convincing 5-2 victory last night over the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And also, courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com, what's on deck 9 to noon includes Packers play-by-play voice Wayne Larrivee. Next segment, Mick Tockett, Pat Micheletti, a couple of segments from now on Said Wild. The scribe, Ben Gessling, joins us on air, on site, on demand, and he'll be on fire at about 10 o'clock. And we begin with some what-if scenarios for you, just some things on which to chew as the National Football League postseason approaches. Sadly, a postseason that will not include our Minnesota Vikings. But what if Texans guard Ed Ingram provides the key block to protect C.J. Stroud, who then hits Christian Kirk for a game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl? Ed Ingram, our former guy, Eddie Ingram.
Yeah.
He ran him right out of town here, didn't they? Now, through 4 years, teams using Ed Ingram as a starter, all right, are 36-19. Ed Ingram's part of teams that are 36-19.
Wow.
When he starts at guard, and he only has one penalty this year. What if the surging Texans emerge and advance and ascend to Super Bowl 6-0? And our former guy, Ed Ingram, has a lot to do with it. And good morning.
Good morning. Well, the natives will be restless. The natives will be very, very irritated.
Ran him right out of town, didn't they?
Ran him out of town, didn't need him. I have a scenario for you that will also feature somebody on the formerly part of the Minnesota Moving Company. But to that end, you can't speak to
good for Eddie Ingram.
Not just winning games with Davis Mills, but then once C.J. Stroud comes back, defense has been the bomb all year, right?
Yeah.
Best in the NFL, maybe statistically, and D'Amico Ryans has that thing churning. They may be actually earlier in the season having a similar conversation that we've had about Brian Flores and the Minnesota Vikings, where, man, this defense is unbelievable. Wow, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are an unbelievable tandem of pass rushing tandems in the NFL. We just need to find some freaking life out of this offense, right? And got to stay healthy. And C.J. Stroud, what is it, year 3 now? Can he do it? Does he have it?
Yeah.
And you can't speak to what they're doing offensively, finding their way to win games
without
Ed Ingram.
36-19 as a starter.
At one point in time, At one point in time, now Jags got off to a great start, really haven't stopped. So truly the toast of the AFC South. Mm-hmm. But it was the Colts at one point until Daniel Jones's injury that really kind of put them in. Well, I mean, they're starting a 44-year-old. So, and as cool as the 44-year-old is, that's not preferred. So, and then the descending nature of the Texans really felt real, the regression of what they were doing down there. And, former Gophers, you're loving on Arianti Ursary, mm-hmm. and they had their awful moments, specifically early in the season, but you have to give Ed Ingram a ton of credit for working within that system. Is he being coached up? And if he's providing the winning block at Santa Clara, and the Texans are hoisting a freaking trophy,
well, the
people will be mad.
I truly believe this because of the wide open nature of the NFL this year.
Yeah.
Houston can get to the Super Bowl for sure. I mean, CJ's making all the right throws, and the corners, Lassiter and Derek Stingley Jr., when completely healthy, and they're both a little banged up right now.
Stingley's turned into a hit, by the way.
Holy cow. And I think it's Kamari Lassiter. Lassiter and Derek Stingley Jr. are playing as well as any corners tandem in the NFL. So if CJ keeps making these throws and that defense keeps playing the way it's playing, and Eddie Ingram continues to take no penalties, he only has one this year, 36-19 when Ed Ingram starts for either the Vikings or the Texans. Yes, the Texans can get to the Super Bowl. What if, from a Vikings fan base standpoint, or 9 to noon, what if Ben takes Chicago to the Super Bowl his first year on the job?
Yeah.
What will bug our covenant with that? Is it a division foe with a young quarterback who plays all the games and seems indestructible? Is it Chicago has become the target at which to shoot into 2026? What would bug people if Ben Johnson in his first year with the Chicago Bears gets all the way to the Santa Clara strut?
Well, the listeners can certainly speak for themselves. 64686, Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line if so inclined.
Ran Eddie right out of town, didn't they?
For me, I've never had any sort of personal animus against Caleb Williams, right? But he plays for the team in the Windy City. So so naturally I'm rooting for him by every stretch of the imagination to have bad times against the purple in particular.
Same.
He's been terrific, and the coach has been terrific. And the way that thing has had the slow build, the simmer to now, offensively specifically, it's a true boil right now with what they're putting out on the field. The frustrating factor for me would not be to dagger Caleb or dagger the operation as much as it would be, oh, great. Down year for the Vikings, second year QB, sadly oft injured, and we're on the sweat with the hand this week.
Yeah.
And that kid's rolling into the bay.
Wow.
And putting up a trophy. And the Bears fans were getting videos from Lavelle at 2 a.m. of him smoking cigars, loving the Bears vibe at Allery's. I got to deal with that now. That is now one of the NFC juggernauts, and we got to face them twice a year. That would drive me insane.
The best thing, in my estimation, Ben, as in Ben Johnson, and the Chicago Bears did into the season was get offensive lineman Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, and Jonah Jackson.
Yeah, and it worked.
And the way they did it. Yeah. And Nordo and I mean, when they did it, first thing that I said was like, well, this is genius because you're making trades for offensive linemen before free agency hits.
Yep.
So then you ain't got to deal with the Joneses. Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson. They traded for Thuney and Jackson right before free agency. Then the first day of free agency, swooped in on what was widely considered the top center available, Drew Dahlman, 3 years, $42 million. Thuney's a Hall of Famer. Joe Thuney is going to the Hall of Fame. They traded a 2026 fourth for Joe Thuney. Thuney has 162 starts through 10 seasons. He's only missed 2 games. And he's a beef-eating offensive lineman. Joe Thuney's a 2-time All-Pro, probably going to be 3 after this year. Started and won 4 Super Bowls for New England and Kansas City.
Yeah.
I mean, that's next level maneuvering right there.
Well, and the cool thing is, too, is I think the Chiefs had him playing at tackle.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
so kind of the stock was down on Tooney a little bit. It's like, he's getting old. He's trying to, he had some great days with Kansas City, but truly his best days maybe with the Pats. And their ability to find him on the cheap. Again, the proactive maneuvering. I think Jonah Jackson I don't want to call it found money.
Yeah.
Because he's had some, I think, previously with the Rams.
No, you nailed it.
But I think that is, of those three, the one that has probably maybe overperformed what one might expect into the season. Again, part of what's happening with the Bears, it's coaching, the evolution of talent, specifically on offense, and Monangai, right? You're getting sort of value there, of course. But every string that they pulled has been money. I mean, it's unbelievable year for the Bears.
What if Sam Darnold meets Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl?
Well, that's okay.
What if Sam Darnold meets Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl?
Daniel Jones in a boot with a sideline pass.
Maybe Daniel Jones can do the coin toss. Would that just be too much to take, Vikings fan 64686?
Yeah,
would that be too much to take?
Wow.
What if Trevor Lawrence gets hurt and Nick Mullins enters and elevates Jacksonville to a Super Bowl berth?
Or even just wins a playoff game?
What if?
What if he doesn't throw it to the other team while driving to tie the game in late January on the road? So, because I was thinking like offensive line scenarios. So you mentioned Ed Ingram. That's a big one. And you end up with Will Fries, who I think has ascended through the season. I'm happy to have Will.
This will be 17 starts for Will Fries this weekend on a Minnesota moving company with like 25 different offensive line combinations.
Yeah.
It's a beat-eating spot. It's in the trenches. It's incredibly physical. Will Fries, first year in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Covenant claps worthy. You made all 17, my brother.
So, but then think about out east. Garrett Bradbury. Now, there are some on social media who are making him sound like he's New World Jason Kelsey out there. But there's part of the availability conversation, specifically with 056, that means a ton and could have meant something to the Purple in 2025. Underrated one. What if scenario? Will Campbell, highly touted left tackle, got hurt. Now, reports are he's missed, I think, a month.
Yeah.
He's going to return to practice soon.
Which makes Drake May's performances that much more grandiose.
Or are they? Because
what do you mean?
Former Vikings 6th-round pick Vidarian Lowe has started the previous 4 games and has played quite well.
Are you kidding me?
Stead.
Vidarian Lowe starts for the New England Patriots.
So what if? Who
knew?
What if Will Campbell can't make the stop back? What if he can't get back?
We had him in the Covenant,
and the eventual top seeded. Potentially, the New England Patriots hoist another Lombardi. So then it's like, evil empire is back. Although Vrabel's likable and Drake May, I mean, how can you not like May? With 2 of their offensive linemen being Garrett Bradbury.
Holy cow.
And a 6th-round pick that we never gave a shot to.
Yeah. Where we're always, everybody is, but we forever are looking for the correct offensive line combination.
Yeah. Now, but you obviously hit the A topic, PA.
What do you mean?
Sam Darnold with an opportunity. Now
against A-Raj.
It's in the Bay, and they if they take the Niners down and get the 1 seed.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, without even thinking Super Bowl implications.
Yeah.
Think about the idea. Now, we all have, for myriad reasons in our lives, I'm not lecturing anybody here, but we know we're all a little bit of a hypocrite in certain situations. If we remember a year ago, with everything on the line and what happened at Ford Field, and then the next week against the Rams, when it was kind of figured out, like, I don't think Sam's going to return. About all of us were kind of like, okay, well, that must mean JJ's ready, right? At one point, we were all ready to say best of luck in future endeavors to Sam Darnold. Now he's back. Now he's won like 26 games, 2 years, 26 or 27 games in the last 2 seasons. And he's there in prime time with the ability to take the 1 seed in the NFC yet again. And just what if, forget the Super Bowl, what if he shows up in prime time? What if he throws 4 touchdowns on Saleh's defense? What if they secure the 1 seed on the road at Shanny? What if they best Shanahan in prime time with it all on the line after the Vikings went there in a divisional round game a few years ago and couldn't even hold on to punts?
What if Aaron Rodgers fades to fire from the 30-yard line in Super Bowl 60, shakes a tackle, fires to the end zone to win the Super Bowl, and it's caught by Adam Thielen? Would Minnesota be able to handle it in the land of 10,000 heartbreaks?
Well, wouldn't they? Wouldn't you want to be happy in that spot?
Yes, 100%.
I mean, he wasn't producing.
Agreed.
In fairness to number 19, who I appreciate all of his contributions
I
here.
got you.
He wasn't doing much with us. I did get a text, though. Lewis Seen and Nick Muse won a Super Bowl with the Eagles last year. It happens every year.
Practice squad, though.
That's a little different. We're not talking about, and hey, love Nick Muse. Best of luck to Lewis Seen. That does not count. Now, this one, think about this.
Yeah.
The Nashawn Wright trick. Nashawn Wright emerging from obscurity.
That's right, we need corners.
Now he got nicked up, and now he's potentially starting on a Super Bowl winning team.
Okay, enough of the what if. Now it's starting to bug me.
And you're pumping up the island to Fabian Moreau, which we appreciate. Fabian.
Hey, what if 9 to noon goes to break right now and calls Wayne Larrivee, elite Vox for the Green Bay Packers? The season finale for the Vikings is this weekend. Green Bay will play the next weekend in a wild card round, and the Dagger, one of the boxes of all boxes ever to Vox, will join 9 to noon around the corner, courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. Devin Ward produces. Back at the flagship, he's Nordo. I'm Paul Allen. Welcome to the Minnesota Vikings practice facility, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, KO at 11 o'clock on KFAN.
Intercepted. Evan Williams. His second game in a row with an interception. And that will do it. Evan Williams delivers his second consecutive dagger.
9 to noon from the Minnesota Vikings practice facility, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Our final Tuesday jaunt to Eagan. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the team, joins at 11 o'clock. Joining us now, one of our very favorites, Wayne Larrivee, our beloved Dagger, and a play-by-play voice of the Green Bay Packers. Now, Wayne, final game of the season coming up Sunday at noon for the Minnesota Vikings. Green Bay will play in the wild card round and hopefully beyond for your sake. But when it comes to this weekend, starting to casually prepare the game calling depth chart, putting numbers and names to like the Green Bay Packers offensive line and other positions for this Sunday, it ain't easy, man. The Packers lineup, Wayne, for sure will have kind of a preseason feel to it, right? And good morning.
Good morning, and Happy New Year, PA. It's hard to tell. I think they'll end up resting most of the key people and trying to get healthy for that playoff game, wherever it is. And it's probably going to be back in Chicago. But, the other factor is this. This is a young team, and they've lost 3 in a row. You don't want to go into the playoffs with 4 straight losses. I don't care if you're young or old. I mean, that's just not the way to go into the playoffs. And it's been tough. The last 3 weeks have been tough because of the fact that the injuries seemingly have caught up with them, especially the Parsons injury. And that's changed a lot on the defensive side of the ball.
Wayne, I'm going to venture a guess here that you personally either wanted or want more from defensive end edge Rashawn Gary. And the reason I bring that up is we had this ordeal trying to get out to play the Giants where we were on buses and or planes for like 10.5 hours. So we were super, super, super delayed. But when we finally landed in Newark and we're on the bus to the team hotel, I was listening to you and Larry call the late stages of that Chicago game. And Rashawn Gary made a huge play late in that game. And paraphrasing, you sounded like, finally, where has that been? Is all of that accurate?
Well, I mean, that's you're paraphrasing. Obviously, I didn't say exactly that, but
right.
Yeah, hey, listen, Paul, he's a fine defensive end. He's solid against the run. He's been flushing the quarterback, but when you're the 12th or 13th pick in the draft and you get a second contract, more is expected in terms of sacks and registering sacks and having an impact on the game that way. Early in the season, he got off to a great start. But as you pointed out, I don't think he's had a sack in 9 straight games. And, this is where you need him to impact the game. There's no doubt about that. And you wonder, okay, so you haven't seen it in so long. Is it in there? I mean, are we going to see it? I think we will, but we haven't for 9 weeks.
And obviously, with Micah Parsons down, the things are elevated with Gary and Kingsley and so on, right? I mean, you just need to get more rush from certain spots.
Sure, absolutely. The pass rush has fallen off. It was falling off even when Micah was healthy the 2 weeks before he got injured. But there was always that potential. On any given moment, Micah Parsons would explode into the backfield and make a sack, and that would, kind of create some momentum for the defense. And we haven't seen that. The two things that have come to the fore in this 3-game losing streak has been the lack of run defense, and that goes back to the injury Devontae Wyatt suffered, and that was on Thanksgiving Day in Detroit. Since then, it's been really hard to stop the run, especially the run right up the middle. Secondly, without the strong pass rush, the cornerback tandem has struggled at times to cover downfield, and that's been eye-opening as well. You put Micah Parsons on top of all that, and then you've got all of a sudden, as you mentioned, the defense. Everybody on that defense gets a little bit better at what they do, but they haven't had him there since he went down to Denver, and they're not going to until next year.
Hey, Dagger, what's your take on the work Ben Johnson has done with these division champion Bears?
Well, first off, the Bears had a lot more talent than their record indicated last year. Okay, they were a much more talented team than their 5 and whatever it was record was. I think that when Ben went in there, he's basically stabilized the quarterback situation and given the quarterback some options when the pass rush is on. I think he's also understood that this is not going to be a pocket passer, that Caleb Williams doesn't do his best work in the pocket. He does his best work outside the pocket when protection breaks down and that type of thing. And he's given the quarterback options to do that. And I just think he's handled that quarterback really well. And to be honest with you, like you guys have the best. The Vikings have maybe the best overall roster talent in the division, and that's even Detroit when they're healthy. But the problem has been that one position, that quarterback position. You had a rookie there in J.J. McCarthy, who has shown signs, as you know better than I, shown signs of being really good, but he can't stay healthy, and that's been a major issue. And that quarterback position, you can be good in a lot of different areas, but if you're not good at quarterback, you're probably not going to be very good.
And the team the Vikings just saw on Christmas Day, the Lions, holy cow, that thing is unraveling like a cheap suit, Wayne, without those coaches. I mean, it's, with Johnson and Glenn and the ancillary coaches who went different places. With the Lions, is any of this surprising you at all?
No, not really. I thought, Paul, and I had this theory, that certain teams, you have a season and it's your year. It's your season. This is the culmination of probably 3-4 years of roster building and that type of thing and coaching and everything else. The Lions' year was last year. And you can say, well, they had all these injuries. The Lions' year was last year. Injuries don't change that. And when you miss that window of opportunity, and I've seen it with the Packers, when you miss that window of opportunity, the next year can be hell. It was 2 years ago for San Francisco when they missed their window of opportunity, lost in the Super Bowl the next year. They had contract squabbles, they had injuries, and they had a terrible season. Didn't even make the playoffs. Same thing for the Lions this year. If it's your year, you better get to the Super Bowl and win it, or you're looking at a long road back, and it's not a single season correction.
Wayne Larrivee, play-by-play voice for the Green Bay Packers, 9 to noon. Wayne, if quarterback Malik Willis leaves via free agency to start games with another team, do you think he has reascended to QB1 status? Maybe not in Green Bay, but somewhere else?
You know what, Paul? It's his performance has been outstanding. And that's really going back to last year when he first got here. I think he has a lot of the qualities of a QB1. I don't know how good he'd be in that role. I just don't know. We've seen a good portion of his play, obviously, because Jordan's been in and out of the lineup at times, and he's been exceptional in that fill-in role. But like he got into the Chicago game, they weren't ready for Malik Willis because they were ready for Jordan Love. And when Malik comes in midway through the second quarter, whenever it was, they weren't prepared for the dimension that he can bring to the offense with his legs, with the read option and that kind of thing. Now, if teams are able to prepare for all of that on a given week, I'd be interesting to see if he starts this week, how the Minnesota defense, which is playing at an extremely high level right now, one of the top 4 defenses in the league. If they're planning on Malik Willis to play this week, I'd be curious to see how Malik Willis does against a defense that's geared and planned for him.
Is Green Bay capable, off this losing streak and with these injuries, Wayne, holy cow, is Green Bay capable of galvanizing over the next week and change and potentially not only winning, but winning a couple of playoff games?
The question is, do they have the people to be able to get that done? Right. And that's the big question. They're missing at least 5 of their top 10 players, including a quintessential talent in Micah Parsons, but also Devontae Wyatt, also Tucker Kraft, who is ascending to become the best tight end in the game, overall tight end. And without those guys, it's tough. Zach Tom, their best offensive lineman, hasn't played in 2 weeks. So you look at these injuries and you say to yourself, okay, what do they have? Can they stop the run well enough? Can they cover well enough without a major pass rush? And that's really questionable. I think they will galvanize and they will do what they can. They'll do the best they can. The question becomes, do they have the people left to step into those roles and make a difference? And that's the question that we'll find out in the next several weeks.
Rookie wide receiver Matthew Golden with 0 TDs and 0 100-yard games. Outside of injury, has something gone amiss there, Wayne?
It's he's a rookie in a receiving core that is fairly well established. And when Christian Watson came back, that kind of took the role that they had for Matthew Golden. So, has he had his ups and downs? Yes. Some of it has been injury related. Yes, no question about that. But I think he's also gone through growing pains that a typical rookie wide receiver goes through. Now, a mega talent like Justin Jefferson, from what I can remember, doesn't go through any of those rookie issues in his first year a number of years ago. But most guys do go through a period like that. They're starting to get Matthew more involved a little bit in the offense, and I think they need to. But I don't think this has been a lost year, but it hasn't been as big a year as many of us were hoping for. And that's there are a combination of reasons behind that.
Last one here for beloved Dagger. With Micah Parsons out, who's Green Bay's best defensive player and why? I would venture to guess Evan Williams, guessing that from afar. He seems to be playing really well.
Oh, he's playing terrific football. He's the most instinctive player on that defense. There's no doubt about that. Edgerrin Cooper hasn't had quite the year we expected, but then again, he hasn't been deployed the same way he was the year before from the linebacking spot. he may get a little more action up front as we go forward here. But I would say Evan Williams has been consistently one of their best players, if not the best. Micah Parsons was the best player they had. But without him, Evan Williams is very important. He's a key. He's been out a couple of games. He returned last week. It was good to see him back. But he's so valuable in that secondary.
Lastly, for your sake, hopefully this isn't for a month and change, but what's the first ski trip on the schedule once Green Bay's season comes to a conclusion, beloved Dagger?
I've got some friends, and we're scheduled to go out to Park City, and depends on when the season ends, but we'll probably be heading out the week after it ends, wherever it ends. I hope it ends in Santa Clara, but based on the way things have gone of late, that would be an incredible run if they were to turn away from the losing streak and put things together and all of a sudden end up in the Super Bowl. That would be incredible. More incredible than their team in 2010.
Wayne, whether it's Montana, Park City, Provo, Vail, or Aspen, or maybe Keystone, are you all Black Diamond trails all the time?
No, I ski. I'm a cruiser type guy. I ski mostly. I'll ski Black Diamonds, but they generally have to be groomed. And there's one run at Deer Valley, Stein Erickson's run. It's called Stein's Way, and it's a great run. It's a great roller coaster run. It's a black, but it's just super.
Just like you, Happy New Year to you and your family. Tell Larry I say hi, and I'll come up to see you this Sunday before the noon kickoff. Okay, Wayne?
Sounds great, PA. Take care. Looking forward to it.
See you, buddy. Beloved Dagger, Wayne Larrivee, play-by-play voice for the Green Bay Packers. To the Wild around the corner. The Minnesota Wild are embarking on a 14-day road trip. John Hines, the coach, joins in a couple of hours. But Pat Micheletti, Elite Hockey Mind, and Mick Taka will join to talk about not only last night, but those first two victories, Winnipeg, Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Celebrini Covenant tomorrow at 3:00. But in particular, the Johansson, Boldy, Eck line. I mean, it's ballyhooed. Holy cow. It's just tearing it up every single game. Let's mix in the Wild around the corner on KFAN. Minnesota Wild started that 14-day road trip with the World Juniors in the state, and they beat Winnipeg over the weekend. That was a thriller. Last night, not so much. They were up 5-0 on the Las Vegas Golden Knights before the midway point of the game. And the game was at T-Mobile in Las Vegas. Joining us now, Elite Hockey Mind, Pat Micheletti at PatMick2626 via X. And here he is, Mick Tockett. Paul Allen, how have you been, my brother?
I'm doing well. It's good to hear your voice. How are you?
Likewise, things are well, and thanks for all the nice texts around Christmas and during Vikings games and stuff like that. And with your hockey team, if there's a line, I mean, things change, lines change, vibes change. It really, week by week. But Johansson, Eck, and Boldy, if there's a line that's outplaying that line significantly, I'd have to hear about it. Those guys were on fire last night.
Well, and they've been on fire all year. The times that they've been together. Sans injury and such. But they've been great. And Johansson is completely took the season. He heard everything last year, what was going on, and him not playing well, and he came back on a minimum contract, which really helped the Wild in terms of getting other guys and things of that nature. And I just think he said, you know what, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to play hard every night. And the way he skates just opens up so much more room for Eck and Boldy, and he's he's been very, very consistent, and that's what you want out of him throughout the whole year.
The penalty kill last night, it was a road game, per usual. Yep. Elite, high end. Number 1 in the NHL on the road and last at home. I'm going to bring that up with Coach Hines a little later. It's such an anomaly. The PK's number 1 on the road and last at home. What any read on that?
Well, I'll let him answer that one because he could probably do it better than I. But no, there's really, nothing really changes, per se. I guess it all depends on the matchup and who you're playing, and is that power play you're going against really good? And we just haven't figured them out. But for the most part, again, you look for that consistency throughout your specialty teams throughout the whole year. And, ultimately when it comes to playoff time, it's got to be good at home. It's got to be good on the road. Same goes for the power play. Same goes for the goaltending. And so, that's the best way that I can, make any sense of it, because quite frankly, Paul, it doesn't make sense when you're number 1 on the road and not so good at home. There's really no explanation.
Hey, Patrick. It's Nordo here, of course. I want to go. Good morning. I wanted to go back to the Johansson talker just for a moment. That line, the level of production, not just last night, but when they are all together, you mentioned it. It's been on fire for most of the season. With Johansson in particular, is he potentially having the best season of his career thus far? I know he missed those games, but he's a guy that has kind of popped to me, and I brought it up when I chatted with Coach Hines. I'm just curious, is it Johansson, his success, a function of his line mates? I mean, not a bad tandem to work with every night, or maybe some measurable things you're seeing differently with Mr. Johansson himself? Well,
the knock on him his whole career has been consistency, and him being, I'm using my own words here, but the way I see it is, him being satisfied. Okay, I had a couple good games. No, I don't need to. And so I think, it's him, getting in his head. It's more of a mental thing. I really truly believe that. And him saying, you know what? I have that ability to be really good every night. And am I going to take myself there? Am I going to push myself to be that guy? And I think, whether it be the off-season conversations he had with the coaching staff and the general manager, or just him hearing enough of the fans and everybody else saying, you know what, where you been? What are you doing? And because listen, he's always been an elite passer. If you watch him, aside from his skating and his working, he's always been an elite passer and obviously an elite skater. It's him pushing himself to beat the guy in the corner, to get engaged physically, and that's something we didn't see last year. And so I really just think it's him saying, yeah, boy, this is kind of fun when I can, when I can push myself and see how good I can be. And, he's been terrific.
All right, now watch out for a super dumb question here, Pat Mick 2626. Matt Boldy, I saw this via X last night. I think he's tied atop the standings in terms of American skaters and their point production so far this season. So, first couple of postseason appearances for him, 22 and 23. I think he just had one goal in those respective playoffs. And if you remember, even though it's tough to remember these sorts of series, in that Vegas L, in the end, he had 5 goals across those games. Can you start talking about Matt Boldy as it is now, not all time, but maybe one of the best American-born hockey players in the NHL?
Well, I think he's trending that way. I think he has a ways to go. I mean, you're talking Mike Modano, you're talking Phil Housley, you're talking.
No, not all time. I'm not putting him in Kane territory.
But is he trending that way? 100%. I mean, the kid's got 25 goals right now, and you know what? And to me, it was all about with Matt maturing and understanding and learning to play in the playoffs. Just like, well, let's go back to Kaprizov when his first playoff, I think he had 1 goal in the series. I don't know who it was against. Probably Vegas, because they seem to play Vegas or Dallas every year. But or maybe it was the Blues. I can't recall. But nonetheless, it's all about learning how to play in those situations. And I think Matt has matured, beyond his years. Look at how young he is. I don't know. Is he 25 years old yet? I don't know. Maybe I don't know his age. He's still pretty young and still growing into it. And his confidence level, and I think it all started where, last year with the, in the Four Nations, that was, head in the deer lights, right? You're playing against the best. And I think right there he said, you know what? I have that ability to be like one of these guys. So, the year he's having is just, he's on his way to 50. And guess what? He's a goal scorer. Kaprizov is a goal scorer. That's what their job is to produce points. And both of them, I think, combined are right near 50 goals. And so, that's just astonishing and a big reason why this team is where they're at.
Tocchet, things were just so calm and poised last night. I mean, it began 26 seconds into it when, now granted, Vegas took some fat L's defensively, specifically leaving the high slot open for that nice, calm Brodin pass for the first goal.
Yeah.
But for the second goal, Middleton's falling. All right. He catches the puck with his skate going down to his knee. I'm thinking he's trying to get it out of the D zone, but it clearly was a design pass to Johansson, who then went to Eriksson Ek, and they created a 2-on-1. And Boldy scored his 25th, and I'm like, holy cow, was that poised?
Yeah, how about the effort by Middleton, though? That's what you're looking for, right? And that was like you're playing in the playoffs type effort out of Middleton, and then. Right. Yes, Boldy made the finish, but how about that pass by Eriksson Ek? That was, he just waited, found the spot in between the legs of the defenseman. Yep. I think it was McNabb. I'm not, I think it was McNabb that he put it through, and right on the tape of Boldy, and Carter Hart had no chance, and you knew. Boldy is going to go top shelf. What you're supposed to do when you're in tight on a goalie, you go upstairs because they're going down or moving across, and they just can't get it. And but the pass by Eriksson Ek was elite.
A lot of World Juniors talk on Beyond the Pond this past weekend. Scott Sandlin was on, Bob Motzko, and several others. What excites you about the World Juniors?
Well, what excites me is that in more this year and in the past 4 or 5 years is that we're seeing, before it was, and it still might be, the top 4, Sweden, Canada, Finland, and the U.S. But, you look at the Czechs, they've improved. The Slovakia gave the U.S. a heck of a game last night. So you're seeing more teams with more depth, which makes the tournament better. And these young kids, I don't know if you saw the winning goal by Czechia against Finland last night in overtime, 3-on-3. The guy went through his legs, goes top shelf. We're seeing skill level that is just getting better and better and better every year. And it is a really tough tournament to win. But you're seeing your next wave of NHL stars at this age, and it's very, very much fun to watch.
Who are some of the best Americans?
Well, you've got the Hagens kid who plays at Boston College. You have Brody Zemer, obviously from Minnesota. Will Zellers, who initially wasn't even selected to be part of this team, was added late. He's leading Team USA with 4 goals in 3 games, and not getting a ton of minutes, but all the kid does is score goals, and he's going to be a really good one. He's property of the Boston Bruins via a trade with Columbus at the deadline last year, and so he's a kid who's going to be a star. As his as he, grows, but, just an elite goal scorer. And, back on the back end, they got, a couple kids, one kid from Wisconsin, Osborne, is going to be good. Logan Hensley is going to be good. Another kid out of Wisconsin. So, I mean, they're all talented kids, and they just have to, continue to grow.
Lastly, and first time I've had the privilege of chatting with you on the radio about the Wild with Quinn Hughes since the big Quinn Hughes deal. Obviously, the three defense pairs have been fortified. But nevertheless, what are some facets, some nuance to his game that your trained eye genuinely appreciates?
Well, what I like about him is that he's calm, he's patient, he knows what he wants to do with the puck. A second and a half, 2 seconds. You just watch him walk the blue line, and he picks up something immediately. And once he sees that opening, it's off his stick. And you'll see a lot of guys walk the blue line, take the shot, and guess what? It gets blocked. Rarely does his shot get blocked. He gets it through, and his vision. It just. And ultimately his skating ability. No one uses his edges like him, and he just brings that mindset every time he's out on the ice.
Great chatting with you. Happy New Year to you and your beautiful Covenant, and look forward to more of these and more frequently in 2026. Thank you, Patrick.
Yep, same to you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
McTalk at Pat Micheletti at PatMick2626 via the tweet machine. Into the middle portion of the radio show, we are about 1 hour from Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell joining us for the final X's and O's of 2025. He'll be followed by Minnesota Wild coach John Hines calling us from California about 90 minutes from now. Meanwhile, around the corner, Ben Gessling, courtesy of Standard Heating and Air. You're listening to 9 to Noon on KFAN.